Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is the new Odyssey Ai ONE Square to Square Max 1 and Max Stripe putters. And they look a little familiar. Odyssey got into the zero torque putter category in the second half of 2024 when it released its Square to Square family. There were several really popular head options that were in that putter family when it was released, including this one right here. This is an Odyssey Square to Square Jailbird that incorporates the Versa alignment lines on it. It's been really popular right from the jump, but Odyssey wanted to try and build upon that momentum with the Square to Square putter family by incorporating some putters that were going to maximize MOI, the moment of inertia, to make them more stable on off-center strikes, and that's where Max 1 comes in. But in addition to being, really stable on off-center hits, when you strike the putts outside of the sweet spot, these putters have two really critical technologies that have been designed into them. They're going to help increase your overall performance on the greens substantially. Okay, so let me break down the Max 1 family of putters for you. From a design standpoint, what's most important to realize is that these are center shafted zero torque putters. Now, what exactly does that mean? The shaft is going into the head directly above the center of gravity. And when that happens, the putter is not necessarily going to be balanced or weighted in such a way that when you make your backswing, it's going to want to either open or close or twist. That's where the torque part comes in. You see, some putters, like heel-toe weighted blade putters often, have what's referred to as toe hang, where if you balance them, the toe is actually going to sort of hang down a little bit. Some putters have what's referred to as face balance, where if you let them hang naturally, the face points up towards the sky. Zero torque putters typically are going to have what's referred to as toe up balance, which you can sort of see right here. The key to understand with this is that when you make your backswing, this putter is not weighted in such a way where it's necessarily going to open or close as you make your backswing. It wants to keep the face square to the path of the putting stroke that you're naturally making. Then as you make your downswing and come into impact, it wants to keep, again, the face square to that path and then keep it square to the path on your follow through. So whether you have a pronounced arc to your stroke or whether you make a relatively straight back, straight through swing, it wants to keep this face square to your path the entire time. And in doing that, it's going to increase the likelihood that you are getting the face pointed right down your intended target line a lot more often. That means you're going to get your putts started on your target line a lot more often. And that really, for most players, is the biggest appeal to zero torque putters. Now, the other thing that Odyssey is really excited about with regard to these putters is that they have the Ai ONE face. Now, we've seen this face insert for a little less than 2 years at this point, and what it's designed to do is to normalize ball speed across a much larger portion of the hitting area. Well, how does it do that? Well, on the outside, it looks like a regular white grooved insert, but really it's based off of the really popular white hot inserts. And it's over the years provided with a lot of people with just the right amount of sort of firmness and softness. It really hits that sort of Goldilocks zone in terms of feel. But on the inner facing side, there are a series of thicker and thinner areas that have been designed using artificial intelligence. And those areas are designed to, again, normalize ball speed across the face. So when you strike the ball in the middle of the sweet spot, the most efficient part, the ball is going to come off as you normally would. However, on the outside, if you hit it a little bit towards the heel or a little towards the toe, it's going to roll out more than you would expect. So again, you're going to get the same type of rollout distance across a wider area. And by doing that, you're going to get more predictable distance control. And according to Odyssey, statistics show you're going to three putt less often. Your leaves, the leave distance that you're going to have for your second putt if you miss the hole is going to be shorter. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of this video that Odyssey with the Max 1 putters is really trying to maximize the MOI, the moment of inertia, and the level of stability that's designed into these putters so that if you do strike it out towards the toe or the heel, they'll wobble less and shake less than they would otherwise. Most heel-toe weighted blade style putters have an MOI, which is measured, if you want to get geeky about this, in grams per centimeter squared, somewhere between, say, 3,000 and 4,000 grams per centimeter squared. Mid-sized mallet putters will be more stable because they are usually bigger than a blade style putter. Now you're probably talking around 4,500. But when you get into the Max 1 putters, we're now talking about 6,300 grams per centimeter squared. So even if you don't know what the hell a gram per centimeter square really means, we're making a massive jump from traditional blade style putters and even from many mid-sized mallet putters. We're making a massive jump in stability when we go up to the Max 1 putters. So all those things blended into one putter really makes for a really interesting and compelling story from Odyssey. Because again, when you've got zero torque, you've got a face that wants to stay square to your path a lot more often. You also, with this AI One insert, have a face insert that wants to normalize ball speed, not only in the center, but on off-center strikes. And when you do get the off-center strike, you also have a head design that is much more capable of holding its ground, of staying steady, about not wobbling here. You factor all that stuff together and you're gonna have a putter in your hands that really wants to help you get a lot more consistent on the greens. And when it comes to alignment systems, there are a couple of different options that you've got with the Max One putters. The standard Max One is going to have a small line that's going to be going from the top line of the putter, right where the leading edge meets the crown, extending back right into the shaft. Now, if you're somebody who wants a little bit more help lining up your putter to begin with, right along your intended target line, the stripe version of the Max One putter has a golf ball with white stripe right along the top of the putter. It makes it very, very easy to visualize where the face is aimed when you're in the addressed position. Now, as I said, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. From an overall shape standpoint, these look extremely similar to LAB's DF3 putters, and that is certainly no coincidence. The DF3 putters have been really popular from LAB. They've helped to propel that company to really the forefront of the whole zero torque putter category. The whole zero torque revolution has been extremely beneficial to LAB. So it's not surprising in the least that a company like Odyssey, the biggest putter maker in the business, is going to be taking a look at that shape and saying like, yeah, you know what? That's probably something that we should look into. If you think about it, this has been happening in the putter category, especially for decades. If you think about it, for decades, just about every putter company out there has been making a heel-toe weighted blade with a plumber's neck hosel that can trace its ancestry all the way back to the original Ping answer. More recently, there have been knockoff versions or versions that have been extremely influenced by the popularity of the TaylorMade Spider. We've also seen putters that have mimicked the popularity of the Odyssey 2-ball. This is something that happens in the putter category all the time. I totally understand that people who are loyal to LAB putters are a little bit ticked off and are looking at this as the, the big companies are finally, stealing the designs that LAB putter has been successful with. I choose to look at this a little bit differently. I think that number one, it was inevitable, and I think number two, it is sort of the final nail in the coffin to anybody who thinks that zero torque putters are really just sort of a fad, that this is something that is the flavor of the month and is something that's going to be going away. Obviously, a company the size of Odyssey making an investment in a series of putters and a family of putters that look just like this is because they are seeing the numbers, they're seeing the trends and recognizing these have been really popular. According to Odyssey, the brand talked with several different players out on the PGA Tour and other tours and asked them, what types of shapes do you really like? What are some of the putters out there that you really admire? And this was something that came back. This general shape was what people were asking for. Obviously, Odyssey is going to make this. Again, I think it was pretty much inevitable when you have the success of the DF3 on the professional tours as well as at retail, that brands were going to mimic and create putters that were inspired by that shape. It was bound to happen. In some ways, it's one of the biggest compliments that major manufacturers can give to LAB putters is to start making putters that look pretty much like a DF3. Okay, so at this point you probably want to know, how do these putters perform on the greens? How do they roll? What type of performance should you expect if you were to try out an AI One Square to Square Max One or the Max Stripe? From my experience, after Odyssey made these putters available to me, I think you're going to really like them. If you're somebody who's looking for a more consistency on the greens, the total package for me really delivered. My preference was for the stripe model. I think that setting something like this down in the addressed position is really confidence inspiring, and I found it just easier for me to get the putter face set up along the target line that I intended. So I preferred myself to go with the larger, more prominent alignment line. As far as the way that these putters swung and how my stroke felt, it felt fantastic. It felt as if it was on rails, as if basically as long as I didn't get in the way of the putter during my swing and I just simply let it go, both on the backswing as well as on the forward swing, the performance was right there. It was really confidence inspiring, and it made me feel like my putting stroke was dialed in, and so much of putting comes down to confidence. So they, in both of these putters, really enhanced my confidence, and it felt like the ball just flowed right off of the face. I've never been a huge fan of the original white hot insert. I know it's been really popular, but for me, I usually like something a little bit firmer. I felt that I definitely got enhanced distance control with this Ai ONE face. When I wasn't making putts, I was around the hole. So as far as the face, I think it's totally mission accomplished. So for me, when I put it all together, the Ai ONE Square to Square Max Stripe was super easy to get set up and to align. It allowed me to make a stroke that was very consistent and that was confidence inspiring. And I definitely felt as if the Ai ONE face insert provided me with a little bit of enhanced distance control. So that's pretty much all I can ask for from a putter. There are a couple of important things you're going to want to keep in consideration when you're comparing the LAB DF3 to the Ai ONE Square to Square Max 1 as well as the Max Stripe. Number one is going to be the price. The Odyssey putters are going to go for $399 each, which is about $100 less than a stock DF3 and considerably less than some of the customized versions of the DF3 that you might be able to find. The second is availability. Because Odyssey has such large distribution channels, you can probably walk into a golf shop or specialty store in the days and weeks ahead and find plenty of different options with the Max 1 and the Max Stripe. Whereas because the popularity of the DF3, if you don't walk into a store and find one that fits your specifications and your needs, and you have to do a special order, a custom order, it could be several weeks before you're able to get your hands on that putter. So that is something to think about. Okay, so I think that's just about everything you probably need to know about the new Odyssey Ai ONE Square to Square Max 1 as well as the Max Stripe putters. But if you do have some questions you'd like to ask me, feel free to drop them in the comment area below. I do try and monitor my comments and answer as many questions from people as I possibly can. And if you've got any questions about zero torque putters or about golf equipment in general, again, feel free to drop them in and I will do my best to get those questions answered for you. If you did get some good information out of this video, if you found it to be entertaining and informative for you, it'd be really helpful if you would smash that like button as well as subscribe to my channel. It helps me out tremendously. So thanks a lot for joining me, and I'll look forward to seeing you again real soon.